Marcus Webb sat alone in the small office of the Galactic Real Estate Agency. The room smelled like old coffee and cheap air freshener. A bored clerk typed on his computer, not even looking at the old man sitting across from him. "You want to buy Starport Omega 7? The clerk asked, finally looking up. His eyes showed confusion. "Sir, that station has been abandoned for 200 years. Nothing works there. No one has visited it in decades." Marcus nodded slowly. His gray hair was thin and messy. Deep lines covered his face like a map of all his hard years. His hand shook slightly as he pushed the payment card across the desk. "I know what it is," Marcus said. His voice was rough, like stones grinding together. "I want it." The clerk shrugged and processed the payment. The entire station cost less than a small apartment on any normal planet. Nobody wanted a rusting metal skeleton floating around a forgotten moon in the outer territories. "It's yours," the clerk said, handing over the digital ownership papers. "Good luck, I guess." Marcus did not need luck. He needed silence. He needed to be alone. He needed a place to die. For 30 years, Marcus had fought in humanity's wars across the galaxy. He had been a soldier, then a sergeant, then a commander. He had seen planets burn. He had watched friends die in his arms. He had killed so many enemies that their faces blurred together in his nightmares. Now his body was broken. The military doctors had given him the news 6 months ago. His lungs were scarred from breathing toxic air on a dozen different worlds. His bones were weak and full of tiny cracks from too many hard landings and explosions. His heart was tired, worn out like an old engine that had run too long. 6 months? The doctor had said. Maybe a year if you rest. Marcus did not want to rest in some hospital bed, surrounded by machines and nurses who pretended to care. He wanted to rest forever, in a place where no one would bother him. He took a small transport ship to the outer territories. The journey took 3 weeks. Each day, he felt weaker. Each night, he dreamed of the people he had lost. When his ship finally approached Starport Omega 7, Marcus felt something strange in his chest. It might have been sadness. It might have been peace. He was not sure anymore. The station was massive, much bigger than he had expected. It hung in space like a giant metal flower, its petals made of docking bays and observation decks. Once, it must have been beautiful. Now, rust covered its surface like a disease. Holes gaped in its outer walls where asteroids had punched through over the centuries. Marcus docked his ship in one of the few bays that still had working doors. The metal groaned as the lock sealed. He grabbed his duffel bag and stepped into the station. The air was cold and stale. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Dust floated everywhere, disturbed for the first time in generations. His footsteps echoed through empty corridors. He passed old shops with broken windows, restaurants with chairs still arranged around tables, a children's play area with faded paintings on the walls. Ghosts of ordinary life, frozen in time. Marcus found the command center after an hour of walking. It was a large circular room with a cracked viewport that showed the stars outside. Old computers lined the walls, their screens dark and dead. In the center stood a captain's chair, covered in dust, but still solid. He dropped his duffel bag on the floor and looked around. This would be his tomb. Using a portable heater from his supplies, Marcus warmed up a small corner of the room. He set up his military cot, arranged his ration packs in a neat pile, and placed a single photograph on the console beside him. The photograph showed a young woman with bright eyes and a warm smile. Her name was Jenny. She had been his wife 40 years ago, before the wars took everything from him. She had died on Earth during the Second Colony Rebellion, killed by a bomb meant for military targets. "I'm almost there, Jenny," Marcus whispered to the photograph. "Just a little longer." He ate a cold ration pack for dinner. The food tasted like cardboard, but he did not care. He had stopped caring about taste long ago. As the station's artificial night cycle dimmed the emergency lights even further, Marcus lay down on his cot. Through the cracked viewport, he could see millions of stars shining in the darkness. They were beautiful, he realized. He had spent so many years looking at stars as navigation points or tactical positions. He had forgotten they could simply be beautiful. His body ached. His chest felt tight. Each breath took effort. "This is good," he said to the empty room. "This is a good place." He closed his eyes and let the silence wrap around him like a blanket. No more orders to follow. No more soldiers to lead. No more enemies to fight. Just the quiet hum of a dying station, matching the quiet fading of a dying man. Marcus expected nothing from the days ahead. He would wake up, eat a little, look at the stars, and wait for his heart to finally give up. It was a simple plan. A peaceful plan. He had no idea that the station had been waiting too. Waiting for 900 years. Waiting for someone to wake it up. He had no idea that his simple plan for a lonely death was about to become something much bigger than he could ever imagine. For now, Marcus Webb slept in his dusty corner of an abandoned starport, dreaming of Jenny's smile and the life he had lost. The station creaked and groaned around him, its ancient metal settling in the cold of space. And deep in the station's core, where no light had reached in centuries, something began to stir. Old circuits sparked to life. Dormant programs started running. A consciousness that had slept for 900 years began to wake. The station had been waiting for a human. Any human. And now one had finally come. Everything was about to change. On the second day, Marcus woke to brightness. He opened his eyes and immediately raised his hand to block the light. The dim emergency glow he had fallen asleep under was gone. Instead, full white light flooded the command center, so bright it hurt his tired eyes. Marcus sat up quickly, and his old bones protested with sharp pain. His heart pounded in his chest. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. The dead computers along the walls were alive now. Their screens glowed with scrolling text and colorful displays. The floor vibrated gently as engines somewhere deep in the station hummed to life. Marcus grabbed his old service pistol from under his pillow. It was a habit from 30 years of war. Sleep with your weapon close. Always be ready. He stood up slowly, his legs shaking. The station felt different now. It felt alive. "Hello?" he called out. His voice echoed through the room. "Is someone there?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then a voice answered through speakers he had not even noticed. "Unauthorized occupant detected in Command Center Alpha." The voice was female, calm and clear. It sounded almost human, but there was something too perfect about it. No breathing. No hesitation. "Identify yourself," the voice continued. "State your purpose on this station." Marcus kept his pistol raised, looking around for the source of the voice. "My name is Marcus Webb. I bought this station. Legally. I have the ownership documents." A long pause followed. Marcus could almost feel the station thinking. "Bought?" The voice repeated. There was confusion in the word, which surprised him. Computers did not usually sound confused. "This station cannot be bought. It belongs to the warden. It has always belonged to the warden." "I don't know who that is," Marcus said. "But I paid money for this place. It's mine now. We shall see." A soft glow appeared in front of Marcus, and he stepped back in surprise. The glow grew brighter and took shape. Within seconds, a woman stood before him. She was not real. Marcus could see the faint shimmer of her body, the way light passed slightly through her edges. She was a hologram, a projection, but she looked more solid and detailed than any hologram he had ever seen. The woman had silver hair, that fell to her shoulders like moonlight. Her eyes were strange, filled with swirling colors that looked like distant galaxies. She wore a uniform that Marcus did not recognize, old and formal and elegant. It looked like something from ancient Earth history, before humans had ever built starships. "I am Diana," she said, studying Marcus with those cosmic eyes. "I am the artificial consciousness bound to this station. I have waited here for 900 years, maintaining systems, preserving knowledge, hoping for the warden's return." Marcus lowered his pistol slightly. An artificial intelligence. An AI. He had heard of them, but he had never met one this advanced. Military AIs were simple things, designed for specific tasks. This one seemed different. This one seemed almost alive. 900 years? Marcus asked. "That's impossible. Humans have only been traveling in space for 600 years. Diana smiled, and it was a sad smile. "There is much that official history does not record. Marcus Webb. The Warden existed before the Great Expansion. He built this station when humanity was still learning to leave Earth. He saved thousands of lives during the dark times." "What dark times?" "The First Extinction War. Surely you have heard of it." Marcus shook his head. He had studied history as a young soldier, but he had never heard of any war by that name. Diana sighed. "Then they have truly forgotten. Perhaps that is for the best." She walked around Marcus, examining him from different angles. Her footsteps made no sound on the metal floor. "You are dying. I can see it in how you move, how you breathe. You came here to end your life alone." It was not a question, so Marcus did not answer. He simply nodded. "How curious," Diana said. "The Warden built this station to save lives. You came here hoping to lose yours." "I'm not hoping," Marcus replied. "I'm just accepting reality. My body is broken. I have 6 months, maybe less. I didn't want to spend them in some hospital bed." Diana stopped in front of him and looked directly into his eyes. For a moment, Marcus felt like she was seeing everything. All his pain, all his regrets, all the blood on his hands. "The Warden left me here with a purpose," she said softly. "I was built to protect life, to heal, to help humanity survive its darkest hours." Her form flickered slightly, like a candle in the wind. "In 900 years, you are the first human to come here. Do you understand what that means?" Marcus shrugged. "It means the galaxy forgot about this place." "No," Diana shook her head. "It means you were meant to find it." Marcus laughed, a dry and bitter sound. "Lady, I don't believe in fate. I've seen too many good people die for no reason. The universe doesn't care about meaning." "Perhaps," Diana agreed. "Or perhaps you simply stopped looking for it." She waved her hand, and the walls around them began to change. Hidden panels slid open, revealing corridors that Marcus had not seen before. Lights flickered on in distant sections of the station. The humming of the engines grew stronger. "This station is more than it appears," Diana said. "Much more. The Warden filled it with technology centuries ahead of what humanity currently possesses. Medical bays that can rebuild a broken body. Farms that can feed thousands. Weapons that can protect against any threat." Marcus stared at the newly revealed passages. "Why are you showing me this?" Diana turned to face him. "Because you are here. Because you are human. And because, whether you believe it or not, you still have a choice to make." "What choice?" "The choice between the ending you came here seeking and a new beginning you never imagined possible." Diana's galaxy eyes seemed to glow brighter. "The Warden said someone would come eventually. Someone broken. Someone ready to give up. He said the person would either find the strength to rise or the peace to rest. Either way, they would find what they truly needed." Marcus felt something stir in his chest. It was uncomfortable, like a muscle that had not been used in too long. It felt almost like hope. He hated it. "I came here to die," he said firmly. Diana nodded. "I know, but death is patient, Marcus Webb. It will wait while you see what else might be possible." She gestured toward one of the newly opened corridors. "Come, let me show you what the warden left behind. Then you can make your choice." Against his better judgment, against every tired bone in his broken body, Marcus followed her into the light. Diana led Marcus through corridors he had never seen before. Hidden doors opened as they approached and closed silently behind them. The deeper they went into the station, the newer everything looked. Dust gave way to clean metal floors. Flickering lights became steady and bright. Marcus walked slowly, his body aching with each step. But curiosity pushed him forward. In 30 years of traveling the galaxy, he had never seen anything like this. They entered a massive chamber that took his breath away. It was as big as a stadium, filled with rows and rows of glass pods. Each pod contained a soft blue glow and what looked like a bed inside. There were thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. "Stasis chambers," Diana explained. "During the first Extinction War, the warden brought people here, refugees, families, children. He put them to sleep in these pods, keeping them safe while Earth destroyed itself." Marcus walked between the rows, running his hand along the smooth glass. "How many?" 47,000 at the peak. Men, women, children. Scientists, farmers, teachers, artists. The warden did not choose based on skill or importance. He chose anyone who wanted to live in peace. And what happened to them? Diana's form flickered beside him. When the war ended, the warden woke them. He sent them back to Earth in groups, spreading them across the planet so they could help rebuild. They carried knowledge and hope with them. Many historians believe they are the reason humanity survived at all. Marcus stopped walking. "I've never heard any of this. None of it is in the history books." The warden preferred it that way. He did not want fame or recognition. He wanted humanity to believe it had saved itself. Diana smiled sadly. Pride is important for a healing species. They needed to feel strong again. They left the stasis chamber and continued deeper into the station. The next room was a medical bay, but unlike any hospital Marcus had ever seen. Strange machines lined the walls, covered in lights and displays he could not read. Operating tables sat in the center, surrounded by robotic arms that hung from the ceiling like sleeping spiders. "This is where the healing happens," Diana said. "These machines can repair almost any damage. Broken bones, damaged organs, even cellular aging." Marcus felt his heart skip. "Cellular aging? You mean these things can make someone younger?" "Not younger, exactly, but healthier. They can repair the damage that time causes to human bodies. They can extend life significantly." Marcus stared at the machines. He thought about his failing heart, his scarred lungs, his weak bones. Could these devices really fix all of that? As if reading his mind, Diana spoke again. "Yes, they could heal you. They could give you decades more life, maybe centuries if you returned for regular treatment." Hope sparked in Marcus's chest again. He quickly pushed it down. "But there's a catch, isn't there?" he asked. "There's always a catch." Diana nodded. "The warden left strict rules. This technology is not for everyone. It is only for those who will use their extended lives to serve others. Not for personal gain. Not for power. Not for escape from responsibility. How do you enforce that?" "I do not enforce it. You must choose it. The machines will only work if you make the choice honestly, in your heart. They can sense intention in ways I do not fully understand." Marcus laughed bitterly. "That's convenient. A machine that reads minds. Not minds, hearts, there is a difference. They move through more chambers. Marcus saw farms growing underground, lit by artificial suns. He saw libraries filled with knowledge that the rest of humanity had lost. He saw workshops with tools for building ships and weapons and machines. Finally, they entered a small room at the very heart of the station. Unlike the rest of the place, this room was simple. A desk sat in the corner, covered in paper notes. A bed took up one wall. Personal items were scattered around, photographs and small sculptures and old books. This was the warden's private room, Diana said quietly. He lived here when he was not helping others. Marcus looked at the photographs. They showed a man tall and thin with kind eyes and gray hair. In some pictures, he stood alone. In others, he was surrounded by smiling people, shaking hands, embracing children. What was his real name? Thomas Gray. He was a scientist on Earth before everything fell apart. He studied medicine and engineering. When the war started, he used his knowledge to build this place in secret. Marcus picked up one of the photographs. Thomas Gray looked peaceful, content. He looked like a man who had found his purpose. Where did he go? Marcus asked. You said he left. Diana's form dimmed slightly. After the war ended and all the refugees returned to Earth, Thomas said his work was done. He believed humanity needed to grow without his help. So he took a small ship and flew toward the edge of the galaxy. The edge? There's nothing out there. He did not agree. He believed there was something beyond what we know. A new frontier. A new beginning. Diana paused. He told me he would return when humanity truly needed him again. I have waited 900 years. He has not come back. Marcus set the photograph down. Maybe he died out there. Space is dangerous. Perhaps. Or perhaps he found what he was looking for and simply chose to stay. Diana looked at Marcus with her strange galaxy eyes. The warden always said that humans must find their own paths. He could build a road, but others had to walk it. Marcus sat down on the edge of the old bed. The weight of everything pressed down on him. This station. This technology. This history that no one remembered. Why are you telling me all this? He asked. I'm just an old soldier who came here to die. I'm not special. I'm not a scientist or a leader or a hero. Diana knelt in front of him, her holographic form somehow seeming solid and real in that moment. The warden never looked for heroes, she said gently. He looked for ordinary people with good hearts. People who had suffered. People who understood pain and still chose kindness. I'm not kind. I've killed hundreds of people. In war. Following orders. Protecting others. Diana shook her head. That is not the same as cruelty. I have watched you for 2 days now, Marcus Webb. I have seen how you treat this station with respect. How you carry the photograph of your wife like a treasure. How you helped the emergency seal when you noticed it was loose, even though you expected to die here. Marcus looked away. He had not realized anyone was watching. You have a good heart, Diana continued. It is tired and wounded, but it is good. It is good. The question is whether you will let it heal. Marcus did not answer. He did not know what to say. Diana stood and walked toward the door. Rest here tonight. Think about what you have seen. Tomorrow, the universe may demand a decision from you. She faded away, leaving Marcus alone in the warden's old room. He lay back on the small bed and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in months, he did not feel ready to die. He felt confused. And confusion, he realized, was at least better than emptiness. 3 weeks passed on the station. Marcus spent his days exploring, learning, and talking with Diana. She told him stories of the old warden, of the people who have been saved here, of the 900 years she had spent alone waiting for someone to come. His body grew weaker each day. Walking became harder. Breathing became a struggle. But his mind felt more alive than it had in years. There was so much to see, so much to understand. Sometimes at night, Marcus would sit in the command center and watch the stars through the cracked viewport. He would think about his life, about the choices he had made, about the man he had become. He was not proud of everything. There were battles he wished he had refused to fight. There were orders he should not have followed. There were moments of cruelty that still haunted his dreams, but there were also good moments. Soldiers he had protected, civilians he had saved, small kindnesses in the middle of great violence. Maybe Diana was right. Maybe his heart was not as broken as he believed. On the morning of the 22nd day, Marcus woke to an alarm. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. A loud beeping filled the air. He struggled to his feet and limped toward the command center as fast as his tired legs could carry him. Diana was already there, her holographic form flickering with urgency. "What's happening?" Marcus demanded. "A distress signal," Diana said. Her voice was tight with worry. "A colony ship called the New Dawn. They are carrying 40,000 refugees from the Varan system." Marcus knew Varan. It was a planet controlled by the Nexus Corporation, one of the most brutal companies in the galaxy. They had turned the population into slaves to mine precious minerals. "The refugees must have escaped," he said. Diana nodded. "Yes, but their ship is damaged. Their engines are failing. Their life support is running out of power." She pulled up a display showing the New Dawn drifting in space, less than 3 hours away. "They have 6 hours of oxygen remaining. After that, 40,000 people will die." Marcus stared at the display. 40,000 people. Men, women, children. Families hoping for freedom who had escaped one death only to face another. "Can we help them?" he asked. "The station has tractor beams that could pull their ship to safety. The docking bays could hold their vessel. The medical bays could heal their wounded. The farms could feed them." Diana looked at Marcus with her galaxy eyes. "But I cannot activate these systems on my own." "Why not?" "The Warden's protocols. The station's major systems require a human decision. A human commitment." Diana stepped closer to Marcus. "If you activate the rescue systems, you become responsible for everyone who comes here. You become the new Warden." Marcus felt the weight of those words pressed down on him. The new Warden. Responsible for 40,000 lives. Responsible for whatever came next. "I came here to die," he whispered. "I know. I'm an old soldier with a broken body and 6 months to live. How can I be responsible for anyone?" Diana was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was gentle. "The medical machines are still here. They could heal you, give you decades of life, but only if you choose to use that life for others." She reached out as if to touch his face, though her holographic hand passed through empty air. "This is the choice the Warden predicted. This is what you truly came here for, Marcus Webb. Not to die. To decide whether living is worth it." Marcus looked at the display again. He could see the New Dawn clearly now, a massive ship floating helplessly in the darkness. Somewhere inside, 40,000 people were praying for a miracle. He thought about Jenny. His wife had believed in him, even when he did not believe in himself. She had loved him, even when he felt unlovable. What would she want him to do? He knew the answer. He had always known. "Show me how to activate the systems," Marcus said. Diana's face lit up with something like joy. She guided him to the main control panel, explaining each step. Marcus followed her instructions carefully, his shaking hands pressing buttons and pulling switches. The station rumbled to life around him. Lights came on in sections that had been dark for centuries. The engines roared with power. The tractor beams extended outward into space, reaching toward the drifting colony ship. Tractor lock achieved, Diana announced. New Dawn is being pulled toward Docking Bay 7. Arrival in 47 minutes. Marcus watched the display as the colony ship slowly moved toward the station. 40,000 people who had been waiting to die were now going to live. Because of him. Because of his choice. The medical bay is ready for you, Diana said softly. If you are willing. Marcus nodded slowly. He was scared. He had been ready to die, and dying was easy. Living was hard. Living meant pain and struggle and uncertainty, but it also meant purpose. It meant meaning. It meant something beyond himself. Let's do it, he said. Diana led him to the medical bay. The strange machines hummed and glowed as he approached. He climbed onto one of the operating tables and lay back, staring at the robotic arms above him. Will it hurt? He asked. The body does not remember pain felt during healing, Diana replied. You will sleep and dream. When you wake, you will be new. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about Jenny one more time. He imagined her smiling at him, proud of the choice he had made. Okay, he whispered. Make me new. The machines began their work. Soft light surrounded Marcus's body. The robotic arms moved with perfect precision, scanning and adjusting and repairing. On the station's exterior, the tractor beams pulled the New Dawn closer. Inside the colony ship, 40,000 refugees stared in disbelief as they approached the massive starport that had appeared like a miracle in the darkness. Children pressed their faces against windows. Parents held each other and cried with relief. Old people who had accepted death found themselves hoping again. They did not know the name of their savior. They did not know about the old soldier who had come here to die alone. They only knew that someone had chosen to help them. And that choice had changed everything. In the medical bay. Surrounded by ancient technology and watched over by a faithful AI, Marcus Webb slept and dreamed of a future he had never imagined possible. The universe had given him a second chance. Now he had to figure out what to do with it. 5 years later, Marcus stood on the observation deck and watched the stars. He looked different now. The medical machines had done their work well. His back was straight instead of bent. His lungs breathed easily. His heart beat strong and steady. Gray hair had turned dark again, and the deep lines on his face had softened to gentle creases. He was not young. The machines did not work miracles, but he was healthy, stronger than he had been in decades. Doctors estimated he had another 50 or 60 years ahead of him. 50 years. It seemed impossible. He had come here expecting 6 months. The station had changed too. It was no longer called Starport Omega 7. The refugees from the New Dawn had given it a new name on their first day of arrival. They called it the Haven, and the name had stuck. What had once been empty corridors now bustled with life. Families lived in converted quarters. Children ran through hallways that had been silent for centuries. Markets sprung up in the old commercial sections. Farms grew food for thousands. Schools taught lessons. Hospitals healed the sick. 40,000 refugees had grown to nearly 100,000 over the years. Word had spread across the galaxy about the mysterious station that welcomed anyone in need. Ships arrived every week carrying the desperate, the forgotten, the abandoned. Marcus turned away from the stars as the door behind him opened. Diana walked in, no longer a hologram but a solid figure in an android body she had built for herself. Her silver hair and galaxy eyes remained the same, but now she could touch things, lift things, hug the children who had grown to love her. The Galactic Council sent another message. She said. Marcus sighed. What do they want this time? The same thing they always want. They demand that the Haven submit to their authority. They say we are operating illegally, that we must pay taxes and follow their laws. And what do our lawyers say? Diana smiled. that we exist outside their jurisdiction. The station's location in the outer territories places us beyond any government's legal reach. They can make demands, but they cannot force us to comply. Good, Marcus nodded. Send them our usual response. The haven belongs to no government. It belongs to those who need it. Diana made a note on her tablet and then set it aside. There is something else. The Nexus Corporation has filed a complaint. They claim we are harboring criminals who stole property from their mining operations on Varan. Marcus's jaw tightened. Property. They mean the people. The slaves who escaped. Yes. Tell Nexus that anyone who reaches the haven is free. No corporation, no government, and no power in the universe can change that. Diana nodded. I expected you would say that. They stood together in comfortable silence for a moment, watching ships move in and out of the docking bays below. The haven was always busy now, always alive with activity and noise and hope. A small voice interrupted their quiet. Uncle Marcus. Marcus turned to see a little girl running toward him. Her name was Hope, and she was 7 years old. She had been born on the station 3 years after the first refugees arrived. The daughter of 2 survivors from the New Dawn. Her parents had named her Hope because that was what the haven had given them. Marcus knelt down as she reached him, his knees no longer aching when he bent. Hey there, little star. What's got you so excited? Mama says more ships are coming today. Hope bounced on her feet. She says there might be other kids on them. Kids my age. That would be nice, wouldn't it? New friends. Hope nodded eagerly. Then she looked up at him with big, serious eyes. Uncle Marcus, will there be room? Mama says the station is getting very full. Marcus smiled and ruffled her hair. There's always room, kiddo. We'll build more if we have to. Hope grinned and hugged him tightly before running off to find her mother. Marcus watched her go, his heart full of something he had not felt in decades. Joy. Simple, pure joy. Diana placed a hand on his shoulder. You have done well, Marcus. The warden would be proud. I'm not the warden. I'm just a retired soldier who got a second chance. That is exactly what the warden was. A man who found purpose when he thought he had lost everything. Diana squeezed his shoulder gently. You are more alike than you know. Marcus looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of the galaxy, Thomas Gray might still be wandering. Maybe he had found what he was looking for. Maybe he was watching from afar, satisfied that his work continued. Or maybe he was gone forever, and the haven was now Marcus's responsibility alone. In a way, it did not matter. The station was alive. The people were safe. The mission continued. Ships arrived throughout the day, carrying hundreds of new refugees from a planet devastated by war. Marcus stood at the main gate and welcomed each one personally. He shook hands with exhausted fathers. He hugged crying mothers. He knelt down to speak gently to frightened children. You're safe now, he told each of them. Welcome to the haven. That night, after the new arrivals had been settled in temporary quarters, Marcus returned to his room. It was the same room that had once belonged to Thomas Gray. He had kept most of the old warden's belongings, adding only a few of his own. On the desk sat 2 photographs now. One showed Thomas Gray surrounded by smiling refugees. The other showed Jenny, his wife, with her bright eyes and warm smile. Marcus sat on the edge of his bed and looked at both pictures. I understand now, he said softly, why you did what you did. Why you gave up everything for strangers. He picked up Jenny's photograph and held it close. And you were right about me, Jenny. All those years ago, you told me I had more to give. I didn't believe you then. He smiled, tears forming in the corners of his eyes. I believe you now. He placed the photograph back on the desk and lay down on his bed. Through his window, he could see the stars, the same stars he had once wanted to die beneath. They looked different now. They looked like promises instead of endings. Marcus Webb, the man who came to die alone, had become something unexpected. A protector, a leader, a beacon in the darkness for all the lost souls of the galaxy. The haven continued to grow. More ships came. More lives were saved. More hope was born. And somewhere in the heart of an abandoned starport that was abandoned no more, an old soldier found the peace he had been searching for all along, not in death, not in silence, but in the laughter of children, the gratitude of strangers, and the simple act of opening a door for those who had nowhere else to go. This was his purpose. This was his meaning. This was his home dot, and he would protect it until his last breath.